Hi, loves. I'm sitting here reading The Cause of Suffering, and I thought, I really need to record this. Don't we all need to know the cause of suffering? Let's get very relaxed. We know the drill. We're relaxing our shoulders, and we are in acceptance mode. Oh, I gotta uncross my knees and give the Lord my full attention. Let's do it. The cause of suffering. Suffering is an emphasis upon all the world has done to injure you. Oof, again. Suffering, I don't know about you, but I'm seeing me as a little knocky-kneed, bad haircutted, crooked teeth little girl. Oh, what a character I made up, huh? Suffering is an emphasis upon all that the world has done to injure you. Here is the world's demented version of salvation clearly shown, like to a dream of punishment in which the dreamer is unconscious of what brought on the attack against himself. He sees himself attacked unjustly and by something not himself. He is the victim of this something else, a thing outside himself for which he has no reason to be held responsible. He must be innocent because he knows not what he does, but what is done to him. Yet is his own attack upon himself apparent still, for it is he who bears the suffering, and he cannot escape because its source is unseen. His source is seen outside himself. So you catch what's going on there? The ego in the mind is projecting a false character in the world, little Lily, and it's projecting this character, and it wants this character, Lee, to experience herself as abused and mistreated. This is all the ego in the mind. It can't bring its demented view of the world without creating a false identity, which is me, Lee. Now you are being shown you can escape, right? My own projections. All that is needed is that you look upon the problem as it is and not the way you have set it up. How could there be another way to solve a problem which is very simple, but has been obscured by heavy clouds of complication which were made to keep the problem unresolved? Without the clouds, the problem will emerge in all its primitive simplicity. The choice will not be difficult because the problem is absurd when clearly seen. So you know what the problem is. Instead of being a pure, innocent, loved and loving and totally lovable child of God, of spirit, I created this physical identity that's guilt-ridden, that's looking to get knocked around. And the unconscious belief is that's God knocking me around. And the ego had to create a body in order for that experience to seem real. Without the clouds, the problem will emerge with all of its primitive simplicity. What are the clouds? My false beliefs and thoughts about what I am guilty and deserving of punishment and a kick in the teeth. That's coming from me. It's not happening to me. The choice will not be difficult because the problem is absurd when clearly seen. I'm a product of divine love, and God loves me and adores me. And that love is singing its song under every image this world puts in its place. But I can learn to see beyond those images and to hear that song of spirit. Every brother is singing that song, no matter what it looks like. And that's forgiveness. Yet is his own attack upon himself apparent still, for it is he who bears the suffering, and he cannot escape because its source is seen outside himself. It's not. It's not outside of me. Now you are being shown you can escape, and all that is needed is you look upon the problem as it is, and not the way you have set it up. How could there be another way to solve a problem which is very simple, but has been obscured by heavy clouds of complication which were made to keep the problem unresolved? Without the clouds, the problem will emerge in all of its primitive simplicity. The choice will not be difficult because the problem is absurd when clearly seen. No one has difficulty making up his mind to let a simple problem be resolved if it is seen as hurting him and also very easily removed. The reasoning by which the world is made, on which it rests, by which it is maintained, is simply this. Get this. Dig this. Are you ready? You are the cause of what I do. Your presence justifies my wrath, and you exist and think apart from me. While you attack, I must be innocent, and what I suffer from is your attack. We got to do that again. The reasoning by which the world is made, on which it rests, by which it is maintained, is simply this. You are the cause of what I do. Your presence justified my wrath, and you exist and think a part of me. You got that? So the ego is all these different personalities that are separate. It's Lee and Mary and John and Steve. He said none of this is true. We're all Christ bodies. We're all spirit bodies that share the same one mind of God. And that one mind is divine love and only love. And all of these complexities are a lie. And here's the ego. It needs all those separate personalities so it can unconsciously, it's unconscious in our mind, so it can play out its war with God. And so we take on ego alliances in this world to justify our attacks and our judgments on others. And it's all a projection. While you attack, I must be innocent. And what I suffer from is your attack. The truth is, what I suffer from is my belief that I'm a separate self that is under fire from God. That's the unconscious belief. That's it. No one who looks upon this reasoning exactly as it is could fail to see it does not follow and it makes no sense. Yet it seems sensible because it looks as if the world is hurting you. And so it seems as if there is no need to go beyond the obvious in terms of cause, right? So the obvious is you gave me a right hook and a kidney jab. But here he goes. There is indeed a need. The world's escape from condemnation is a need which those within the world are joined in sharing. Yet they do not recognize their common need. For each one thinks that if he does his part, the condemnation of the world will rest on him. I, I had a family member I could see this so clearly in, that there was no such thing as the forgiveness of guilt, because it was like watching a movie, because they really, really, truly, truly believe if they forgive and see another as innocent, that means they're the guilty one. This is such a vital teaching here. The world's escape from condemnation is a need which those within the world are joined in sharing, yet they do not recognize their common need. For each one thinks that if he does his part, the condemnation of the world will rest on him. And it is this that he perceives to be his part in its deliverance. Vengeance must have a focus. So, we honestly believe if we let everyone else off the hook, we're going to go on a cross. Vengeance must have a focus, it must have an aim. A vengeance has got to go somewhere. That's what the ego believes. Otherwise is the avenger's knife in his own hand and pointed to himself, and he must see it in another hand if he would be a victim of attack he did not choose. Right? This is the ego's frenzied belief about God. The ego believes that it attacked God, and God is viciously hovering over the world behind every brother's face, looking to attack us and do us in. And he must see it in another hand if he would be a victim of attack he did not choose, and thus he suffers from the wounds a knife he does not hold has made upon himself. And thus he suffers from the wounds a knife he does not hold has made upon himself. This is the purpose of the world he sees, and looked at thus, the world provides the means by which this purpose seems to be fulfilled. The means attest the purpose, but are not themselves a cause, nor will the cause be changed by seeing it apart from its effects. The cause, the ego, produces the effects which then bear witness to the cause and not themselves. Look then beyond effects. The effects of hate are caused by the ego's vengeance against God. We're not bodies. That's the only way out of this. We were created in spirit bodies by God, sharing the mind of God. We're not different. There's not differences. There's not a Lee, there's not a Robin. We're spirits sharing the one mind of God. It is not here the cause of suffering and sin must lie, and dwell not on the suffering and sin, for they are but reflections of their cause. The part you play in salvaging the world from condemnation is your own escape. Seeing it is our escape. Forget not that the witness to the world of evil cannot speak except for what has been seen, a need for evil in the world. Again, forget not that the witness to the world of evil, that's the ego, cannot speak except for what has seen a need for evil in the world. The ego needs to see evil in the world. It needs to see guilt and sin in my brother. This is the ego's need. And we're ego identified as these body identities. And the only purpose of this world is to prove guilt real. Because of this, the ego is guilt. It's a frenzied rage of guilt. The ego is. And it's buried in our mind. And it projects that guilt into other bodies. As we forgive the guilt, turn it over to the Holy Spirit that we're perceiving outside of ourselves, this thought system begins to dissolve. But on its way out, it gets vicious, cunning, and baffling because it doesn't want to go. And it's not the truth. It is not the truth. In our mind is divine love under this madness. Divine love. And divine love is singing a song of gratitude right now, but it's covered up by our projections. Our brothers in this world are singing this love, this song of divine love right now, no matter what it appears like. Forget not that the witness to the world of evil cannot speak except for what is seen a need for evil in the world. And this is where your guilt was first beheld. In separation from your brother was the first attack upon yourself begun. And it is this the world bears witness to. You got it? So we were spirit bodies in heaven with God. In the separation from your brother was the first attack upon yourself begun. And it is this the world bears witness to. Seek not another cause, nor look among the mighty legions of its witnesses for its undoing. They support its claim on your allegiance. What conceals the truth is not where you should look to find the truth. The witnesses to sin all stand within one little space, and it is here you find the cause of your perspective on the world. The witnesses are all the different sins that we're perceiving. We're projecting it and perceiving it. The ego is projecting it and perceiving it. That little girl with the knocking knees, the ego moved through her mind and projected sin outside of her and then perceived it.